Hello, you mortal fools, and welcome to episode 666 of Good Luck High Five!
You're listening to a podcast that's for you if you play Magic the Gathering.
I'm one of your hosts, Spooky Maria, and my favorite spooky card in Magic is none other than Flesh Taker.
That's a good one.
Do you like this card? I love the art on it. It's very 1970s horror.
Yeah,
This
for
card,
sure.
It's good.
Very
It's good.
Chainsaw Massacre.
I feel like it's perfect for you as well, Maria, because it is kind of cute as well. Just like not really, but like I'm saying, if you squint, you can kind of see some
You
level
could
of
make something cute out of
cuteness.
this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
all right, I'll take that.
Just like this person has made something awful out of the things.
yeah.
The materials they took the materials they had and they made something awful. They could have made something cute.
Materials being skin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or flesh, whichever way.
Oh,
you
sure.
wanna,
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I'm another one of your hosts, totally normal and chipper Megan. I'm fine. And my spooky card is one of the original grossest cards. The one that made
the grossest card to rule them all.
the grossest card to rule them all, which is the original printing of Magnifying Glass.
Yes.
Which has the little eye in the shoulder, which is how I learned that I have a phobia of eyes being where they're not supposed to be.
So
What a gift that
creepy.
card gave
What
you.
a gift that card gave me. I didn't ever think of it before, but then I saw this card and was
then it was
like,
everywhere.
this is a specific nightmare. Wow.
Wow.
This one really
Thank you, Magic
gets
the
me.
Gathering. Tyler.
Great. I am another person named Tyler, and my card. So I was trying to find a card that meant something to me from a draft perspective, and I went back to the first set that I ever drafted, which was Thrones of Eldraine. And
You mean Throne of Eldraine?
Throne of Eldraine. Thank
Singular?
you. Yes, you're right.
Wow.
You know
Wow.
what? You're not wrong. You're not wrong. There
You
was
arrived
just
on
one
the show
throne.
just for Maria to roast you.
Well, I mean, whatever makes good content. So the card I chose was Turn Into a Pumpkin, which was an excellent card in that draft format. One of those uncommons that was very, very, very good. And it, I just love the art on it because it's like you can see these people getting turned into a pumpkin. And if you really zoom in, the one person's face is part pumpkin, part face. And that really, that's pretty spooky to me. And,
Yeah,
and just
I love that.
obviously, the pumpkin part of it feels very thematic to the season.
yes.
If not perhaps this particular Satan-driven episode that we're about to do.
Thank you. It is our episode, Satan Take the Wheel, here on Good Luck High Five. It's so fortuitous that we have ended up on episode 666 here on Good Luck High Five on Hollow Week.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely wild.
It is
What are the
honestly wild.
chances?
I do
We
not know.
planned it 13
Yep.
years ago.
13, another spooky number.
That's true. Wow. There is something. There's a
There's
confluence
something
of something.
that's happening
yeah.
here. Some kind of rift has opened beneath the earth, and it's the what's it called? Our rising from the.
The spirits or the...
I was thinking like more of a
demons?
miasma. The
the
miasma.
miasma. Of
Oh,
course,
yeah,
the
yeah,
miasma.
yeah.
Yes.
That's always the word when
Love
you
a
can't
good
think of it.
miasma.
Oh, yeah. And there's good and bad, You can have a bad miasma as well. Yeah.
One could
generally-
argue that most miasma
Yes.
is
Yeah. They're perhaps
relatively
defaults
bad.
to bad. Yeah. That's probably true.
Yeah, and so I just feel like it's all happening here for us this week, and we're so excited for you all to be with us here to celebrate all the spooky things that we know and love, which are coming together this week as the veil
Truly.
thins
Truly.
here in Halloween Week. And on today's episode, we are going to talk about something very satanic indeed, and that is the Satanic Panic as it relates to Magic the Gathering.
I thought you were going to say we're going to talk about something very satanic, Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, yes. Parents, if you're watching this game is evil and your child is literally summoning demons.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Beware.
Watch out.
I mean, sometimes that is true.
Do you know where your teen is when they cast Counterspell?
I like that it's Counterspell that's most demonic and not like
not the
Bristlebrand.
demons. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Hey,
An actual
look,
demon.
Yeah.
When I asked us all to bring our favorite scary card for the top of the episode, and let me just say, I almost brought, I don't know, Counterspell
Yeah, like
to me is
Counterspell.
horrifying. It's just how I feel.
Active
Yeah.
negation.
Island, perhaps.
Untapped. So it's
Yeah,
untapped.
Untapped Island, the scariest thing in Magic the Gathering. But yeah, the Satanic Panic, as it relates to Magic, has a long and storied history, and there's some famous court cases associated with it, as well as things that that are related to magic, like Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
And we're going to get a bit of a historical dive on the Satanic Panic itself, go way back in time with the help of Tyler on this show, as well as a case from Megan, which is famous in Texas.
Yeah.
So I think this is going to be a very fun celebration of all things unholy on this episode of Good Luck High Five.
Absolutely.
And to celebrate our favorite demon fiends, which are you,
yes,
the viewers
the
and
viewers,
listeners.
Yes.
We want to celebrate our patrons.
Thank you so much to our patrons. Truly the most demonic among us.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah, because they're so powerful.
Because they're so powerful.
I know.
Exactly. They're so powerful. You wield so much great power. You summon us from the depths in which we
maybe we're the demons in this
We're the
story, and
demons,
they're
you're the
more
demon summoners.
The demon summoners, yeah. That's kind of true, I think.
love
Thank you
that.
so much for summoning forth Good Luck High Five every week.
Those incantations worked,
They're working
Mama.
great.
We could not be here without you, and I mean that literally. We could not be here on the surface of the earth
We would
without your
still
will.
be in the
right.
fire
To
pit.
make
Yeah.
it happen.
Just like a vampire waiting awkwardly outside the door, we
Yes.
would be down in our little
Yes.
hidey
We
holes and
would.
unable to come out. Yeah.
I think one of my favorite things about vampires is people are like, "Oh, you have to be invited in." Like that's
Yeah.
how it works at other people's houses for me too, man.
Like that's just general life.
Walk into people's homes.
That's my experience as well. Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, it's a good point.
Maybe we're all vampires. We just don't know
Usually I'm
it.
invited there.
Ooh,
Anyways,
my.
thank you so much to new summoner, Tyler.
Oh, Tyler, another Tyler.
Wow. Oh gosh, this is so much pressure actually.
Tyler
to do.
for Tyler.
Tyler for Tyler. Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess.
My favorite kind of slash. Pick your favorite Tylers. Slash fiction Tylers.
Yeah, Tyler, I wouldn't want to finish the bathroom floor of this show without you, because otherwise there would be water damage on the wood floor I would try to put in there if I didn't have someone to put tiles in.
Oh,
Thank
that's
you.
really nice,
The
Tyler.
great Tyler.
Hey Tyler, you've made me smiler with your contribution to our hellish escapades.
Mine is. I can't say mine. I can't say mine.
Oh, nice.
Oh, well.
Ooh, I like that.
So I'm gonna work on coming up with another
Yeah,
one.
great.
Okay,
Yeah,
all
great.
right.
Yeah,
You can
fair
just
play,
have
fair
that
play.
stew in the back of your head while
Yeah.
I say, if you become a patron at $5 a month or increase your pledge by any dollar amount, you'll get great puns like Tyler just did there. You get early access to episodes a day early for Good Luck High Five, as well as our Commander Arcade episodes, which is really fun. You get access to our Discord server and just the perk of knowing you're supporting the evils from below when you become a patron at patreon.com/GLHF magic.
I can't think of anything else because it's like a worm in my head.
Yeah, that's all
You
right.
know,
that's
like
spooky.
when you have one thought and it wants to
Yeah.
be said so
when
bad.
you're leading the FDA or whatever.
Did my mind go there as well?
Yeah, I know.
Yes, it did.
I know. I hate that he's
Yeah.
taken from
He's-
us
yeah.
the phrase "worm in your head."
Yeah,
Worm
it's
in the
true.
brain,
Yeah, he
yeah.
kind of he's kind of owns that now.
Let's take
yeah.
it back. You know what I'm saying,
yeah, let's
Megan?
reclaim that,
Take
yeah.
back
Reclaim it.
brainworm.
Take it back. We are our own brainworm. Well, Megan, if you want to save the one you can't save
That's
for the
true.
producer
It could be
segment,
something to
you
look
can.
forward to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
Well,
yeah,
but
that's
then
true
Tyler
too.
doesn't even get it. Tyler, sorry.
Well, you know.
Just know it exists.
And maybe by the end of the show too, you never know.
You
There
will
might
have
be
found
another
an
one that might
appropriate-
come
an
to you. You know,
appropriate
like
one.
who's to say? And
Yeah.
that way maybe Tyler will listen to the whole show too. You know.
Yeah.
Ooh, we've got you
Wow.
on the hook there, Tyler. The hook's in the back of your flesh as you're hanging over, dangling over a pit of flame. Why does this all come so easily to me? Is really the question I am asking myself
honestly,
right now.
I feel like you have to fight not to have those kinds of things come out of your mouth most of the time. So
Yeah,
this might,
yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
You are pretty demon.
Yeah.
Thank you.
pretty
Higher
demon.
compliment never received. Well, friends, let's talk about the Satanic Panic on this episode 666 of Good Luck High Five. One of the dumbest panics, I would say, in the history of panics
Yeah.
that have gripped humanity over the eons.
I would say that generally panics are kind of bad.
Yeah,
Yeah,
panic's
yeah.
generally not a good look for
Yes.
anyone
Yes.
involved. I think that's
Yeah,
fair to
that-
say.
They don't
that's
yeah.
true.
age well.
Yeah.
So many moral panics that we've encountered in our lifetime have been
Yeah.
so incredibly stupid, and this is among one of them.
Yeah.
Yep.
Say
So,
we're in the midst of a moral panic right now.
ooh, what's the moral panic of the moment, do you think?
I think the moral panic of the moment is like around like the influence of queerness on children.
Oh, well,
Yep,
absolutely.
that is
That
for
is
sure. One that
one
we're
of the
Yep.
panics of the
Yep.
Yeah.
of the
That
moment
is definitely
among
true.
a certain sect,
Yeah.
and they are obviously bad. You're if you feel that way, you're bad.
You heard it here first, folks.
Wow, I don't know.
I wish I would have been
You're
corrupted by the
but
gays
they're like, no,
earlier.
that's actually just what
I
it
mean,
is,
as a youth, can you imagine like being able to have drag queen story hour or whatever at your school?
my
Like
gosh,
it would have
truly.
been so incredible for me. Even as an adult, I know it would have been formative and wonderful.
Just
Yeah.
that they say that literally it doesn't turn kids queer to have queer content around. All it does is help queer kids feel safe.
Yes.
And feel seen and feel like
loved.
there is some
Seen.
path
Exactly.
for them through life even, like, I mean,
Exactly.
And show
So-
them open the world to their, for their little eyes, so that there's more than what they may know.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know.
Anyway,
That's
so that's a bad
good.
panic we're in now, but panics of the past that we're over so that we can consider being over panics.
Well,
Yeah.
I feel like any moment these are going to rear their head again.
Of
In
course,
fact,
yeah.
That's true. I know. I would say actually, Satanic Panic. I am always kind of just like
Yeah,
wait, these days. I'm just
it's
like
one of those
freaking out.
It's
evergreen
gonna
panics, It
happen.
feels like an evergreen panic, just
I'll-
like an evergreen mechanic, Just kind of like,
Panic would be
It's
a
like-
great mechanic name.
Ooh,
Oh, yeah,
that's true,
Panic
the
is a
panic
good one.
What do you
mechanic.
think?
Ooh,
What do you
do
think? Okay,
like
I want
that,
you all
yeah.
to think about what panic would be if it was
Maybe
about
that's
panic.
maybe when we return to Duskmorn, that'll be one of the.
Oh, I love that. Okay, so what the heck is a satanic panic, everybody, if you're wondering? It is a moral panic. This is a definition straight from the dictionary, consisting of over 12,000 unsubstantiated cases of
gosh.
satanic ritual abuse starting in North America in the 1980s, spreading throughout many parts of the world by the late 1990s, and persisting today.
Wowzers.
Wow. So a lot of stuff was encompassed in this when it happened, including stuff like the Smurfs being seen as evil.
I did not know about that one. That's news to me.
Which, what to be fair, was correct because the Smurfs are of the devil.
And that's one
That was
they
the
got.
one part of
That
the
was the
panic
one that was real.
They got it correct.
Of course, Dungeons and Dragons got embroiled in this. Troll dolls got swept up in this in the 80s. Heavy metal tracks, what they called backward masking, which is if you listen to them in reverse, like some satanic chant was emanating from them, or subliminal messaging, that kind of
absolutely.
thing. Pokemon cards got swept up in this
my
when
gosh.
they first
Oh, wow.
happened as
Oh, wow.
well, including
I must have been for
Oh,
sure
were you a
worshiping Satan
Pokeboy?
at that point. Yeah, I was definitely buying Pokemon
Pokeboy?
cards. I will say that for sure.
a pastor's wife said she heard screams when she burned her kids' Pokemon cards, so that kind of contributed to that.
Yeah,
It was probably her
Pikachu
kids
screaming.
Well, no,
Charizard!
no,
That's the
honestly,
worst thing I've ever seen.
the screams were her kids who were like, "No, those are going to be worth so much money in like 20 years."
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So true. So true. So the panic really kicked off in the year 1980 with the publication of a book called Michelle Remembers. So first of all,
A+ title.
What a
Oh
title.
my gosh, it's so evocative. You just know that it's going to be so there's
Michelle
so much drama in
Remembers.
that title. Like, anyway, yeah, continue.
So this is written by a Canadian psychiatrist, and his patient and future wife. Okay, so you know,
Nothing wrong here.
that this is really great setup.
Everything is above board
Yeah.
when you eventually marry your
This
patient.
is fine. This is all fine. Her name Michelle Smith, I should say, which of course it was. That's the name of the book. It is the book used the controversial and now discredited practice of recovered memory therapy. Right? Okay. Which made claims about satanic ritual abuse involving Michelle. So she was like claiming to have these memories
Remembering
of
that
these things that had
abuse, yeah.
happened to her. Of course, now fully debunked, but that kind of kicked it off. And it, as I said, persisted through the 80s and the 90s. This also, a lot of people say maybe it was entering into public consciousness at the time a lot because of 3 popular films which premiered around this time, and a little bit earlier, Rosemary's Baby, The Exorcist, and The Omen, which was from 1968 to 1976. Apparently there's like people who went to do this, like, what was it called? Recovered memory therapy and that kind of stuff with psychiatrists. They said a lot of people seem to be remembering scenes from these movies and not from anything real.
Sure, that checks out.
Incredible.
A lot of people credit this as well to the reaction against the surge of new religious movements, which came in the 1960s. So a lot of Asian influenced religions coming over to the U.S., new wave kind of religions, the rise of like the hippie subcultures and all that kind of stuff. And there was also another popular bestseller in 1972, which was a memoir, The Satan Seller, in which this guy named Mike claimed to have led a group of 1,500 Satanists in a human sacrifice before converting to evangelical Christianity.
So many Satanists.
I see. When you said that, I
1,500.
thought I was thinking of like a traveling salesman selling Satan, but we're talking about CELLAR. Is that correct?
No, he was selling Satan.
Oh my gosh. Well,
as in he was selling it.
Oh wow.
But he probably had a seller as well.
Oh, okay. All right.
Of course, this
never mind.
book was also eventually completely debunked.
Well, sure.
One of my very favorite things about the Satanic Panic is that, and I'll talk about this too when I talk about the case that I brought, is they always talk about there being human sacrifices.
Yeah.
And you're like,
Somebody would know.
Yeah.
who's missing?
Yeah.
Then who did they sacrifice?
Yeah.
There's just, you can't link it to any specific missing person's case.
But just generally, people
It's just
are being
generally
sacrificed.
someone was
Generally, the
sacrificed.
sacrifice is happening.
And no one misses that.
Yeah.
No one missed them.
yeah. And it's you, and it's rarely, in my experience, also just one person too. It's like there's been numbers of people sacrificed, and
many
again,
sacrifices.
like again,
Hundreds
just
of thousands.
by some kind of law of averages. Like there's going to be someone say, "Hey, I don't know where my person is," and
They were dabbling in Satan.
they were dabbling.
Someone.
They dipped their toe into Satan,
Or
and
like
next thing they knew.
these Satanists came to town, and then
and
then my
then
wife
people
went
were
missing.
gone.
Yes.
Not a thing.
It's like the Pizzagate situation, you know.
Oh, yes.
Similar.
Another panic, yeah. That's
Another panic.
Another panic.
Yeah.
So, by the way, in 1994, the New York Times kind of investigated some of these claims or whatever of the 12,000 that I've mentioned earlier and said they were not able to substantiate any single allegation of organized cult abuse.
Not a
single one.
Interesting.
A Panic About Nothing. Here we go. So, as I mentioned, Dungeons and Dragons, a huge part of this. In 1985, there's actually 60 Minutes did a retrospective on this about specifically D&D and the Satanic Panic and about how, quote, like children were dying, committing suicide, all sorts of things while playing D&D.
Just general children, you know, like some of them out there.
Yeah, somebody out there is doing
Some
it, of course,
child
somewhere.
It's happening. Trust me, it's happening, and it's happening. Yeah,
which I find to be very bad journalism.
Well, yes.
It's just nonsense. But this was predicated by a very famous D&D case, which happened in 1979. So there was a 16-year-old kid who was kind of like a child prodigy named James Dallas Egbert III. Great name.
Oh my gosh,
Incredible name. Nice work.
Dallas
And he went to Michigan State University, and he disappeared. Okay. A private investigator was hired by his parents to find him. And this private investigator goes into his dorm room and finds like this corkboard on the wall with a bunch of pins in it, which look to be the shape of the the tunnels underneath this university. And he's like, oh my God, he's in the tunnels playing D&D for real.
Whoa.
Like he wanted to actually...
like a life-size D&D board.
Life-size
Like he wanted to
D&D
become one of the figurines.
game. Yeah. And so he went and tried and couldn't find him in the tunnels. What actually was going on was this poor kid was suffering from a lot of bad things and had actually gone into hiding. And eventually came back out and was like, here I am, I'm back or whatever. It is a sad tale because he did eventually kill himself, but it was not related to D&D or anything like that.
Yeah.
But this case basically was the firestorm that sort of propelled the Satanic Panic around D&D into the forefront because of this investigation that was propelled by the parents and this investigator who was trying to pin it on D&D as the reason for all of this stuff happening.
Nice.
And this actually got turned into a movie, by the way.
Wow.
It's a movie called Mazes and Monsters, starring a young Tom Hanks.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Very interesting. What year did that come out? Do you
That was, oh gosh, it's got to be pretty early.
Yeah,
in,
like...
I'm not sure. I don't have that written down,
right.
but go check it out if somebody can find it.
Oh, yeah,
Basically about this case and about making D&D real and all that. And of course that only added fuel to the fire for this whole situation.
1982.
1982. Thank you.
Very strange cover for this movie.
For the poster?
Yeah.
He looks so old in that poster.
Yeah, he does actually. He kind of does. Danger lurks between fantasy and reality.
Yeah. Wow. Tom Hanks.
All right.
Tom Hanks. So that's setting the stage of where we're at before I dive into the Magic the Gathering side of the Satanic Panic. Tyler, do you want to say what you want to say about the history of this?
Yeah, sure. So I'll take us back just a scotch farther to the 12th through the 14th century.
Just a scotch.
And this was really around the time. This ties in, they say Satanic Panic is often, has a religious undertone for obvious reasons. And
Satan.
Yeah, exactly. Though I will say, I think Satan, like his association with the Christian religion is like obvious, but also not like there wasn't a Satan type figure in other religions. You know what I mean? Like, many hundreds of thousands of years. And the interesting thing about the time period that I want to talk about is a few things. One, this was around the time when Christianity was very established, but was kind of trying to consolidate itself as like a block that all believed the same thing. Like there was still some messiness to the Christian religion. Not that there isn't a lot of sects of Christianity now, but the broad idea even of like Jesus and the resurrection and all of these things were still somewhat what am I trying to say?
It was contested.
That's
and there
exactly
was a
the right
lot
word.
of messiness back then.
Exactly. And so there was a group of people.
As historians say, a lot of messiness.
There was a lot of
There's
messiness.
a lot of tea to be spilt.
There was a lot of tea to be spilled. There was a group of people called the Cathars, which many people will recognize as a term that appears in Magic the Gathering, and that's the tie-in here. Though the interesting part is that the Cathars, as far as I understand it in Innistrad, are pretty much the like army of the church. Would that be your? Would you agree? So in this, really, the church is trying to persecute the Cathars because the Cathars believe in a much more dualistic vision of the world. The Cathars essentially, and this is obviously going to be broad strokes, but they really believed that Satan and God were kind of equals. Not that there weren't like, it was still kind of a good versus evil thing, but there was like a creator of the physical world, and that was Satan. And they might not have used the word Satan, but that was like the Satan figure. And then there was a creator of the spiritual world, or like the above. It's like the above and the below, like, and those two things were really kind of equal. And so there was a dualism,
I can see that making sense.
which we don't no longer associate with Christianity, because really Christianity is all about going into heaven. Like it's all about going up, like there is you do not, if in Christianity, go down, that's bad, like go up, that's good. Like, and I'm saying that's pretty much what, that's how it goes. And so,
up good,
down bad. Exactly. And all of this, another interesting connotation here is that Cathar at the time, there was a lot of, the use of cats, as like a symbol for, generally speaking, satanic rituals in that time, but also like the feminine, and like those two things getting like really looped together. That's a big part of what that's a big part of what cats were doing for the church at that time as a symbol. Not that they were literally doing this, but there was an effort made to tie Cathars to cats. And they, have the first three letters of Cathar is cat, but the word Cathar really comes from like the same root word as catharsis. Like it's a Greek root for like purity, essentially, is like why they call themselves that. So there is this, the thing I find fascinating about it is this contested idea of the above and the below, of Satan, or some figure of the below being equal to God, and of like the animals, or like cats specifically, being associated with the devil. All of those things are, in my mind, from the reading that I've done, related to this struggle that was happening to try to like peel humanity fully away from nature, to peel them fully off of like the idea of us being another creature on the planet, and turn us into something that, is not another creature on the planet, something separate.
Wow.
And specifically, another specific thing that is related to this is that in the Bible, there's this idea of wisdom. And in early translations of the Bible, the word Sophia was like very present in the Bible, which is in Greek times was like the goddess of wisdom. And there is a lot of evidence that some scholars have dug up in recent times that there was like a concerted effort made to distance that, like, to turn Sophia into wisdom in like subsequent translations of the Bible, so that there was this idea of the feminine in some kind of divine sense in the Bible was present even at the beginning of Christianity, but was like slowly like pulled farther and farther away. And all of this is of a piece for me of this traveling away from nature, away from the feminine, to get to a point where we have, for lack of a better way of saying it, God has no wife, and like that's what
the position is open.
What sense does that make? Like there's it like why would you want to be a God who is like just like purely the masculine and just living up in some like weird liminal space, completely alone, just like shooting lightning bolts down or whatever, like
friggin' having to
I want
mind.
a shirt so bad that just says God has no wife.
Yeah, because if you just say that, you're like, oh yeah,
goes hard.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. And this, the thing that I love is that like this notion of like the equal between the below and the above, like that's been the below for a long, long time. Like the earth, like all of matter, all of existence was thought to be feminine in ancient times. And then the idea of masculine was almost more like a cut that made some definition out of everything. So like you start out with everything being feminine, and then the masculine is like almost like a little like gesture, like within that, like everything.
Same thing happens in the Ute. You know what I mean?
No, it is. It's exactly right. And so how we got from the feminine being everything to like not being able to find it anywhere is a fascinating tale in my mind. And this to me is, one of the OG Satanic Panics, I think, was doing a lot of work towards getting us to that place. So
wow.
That's my
Thank
little
you, Tyler.
Has no
so
wife.
Yeah. God has no wife. Yeah.
Back from the 12th, what year were we in here?
The 12th to the 14th
12th
century.
to the 14th century. We're going to fast forward to 1995.
All right. Just a little jump.
Yeah. Zoom forward to 1995. Where were we at? So Magic got started printed in 1993. Mm-hmm. So in 1995, Wizards is going to print its billionth card, by the way. Guess how much Black Lotus was on the secondary market?
Oh my gosh, no, $0 almost.
It's $100.
Yeah, I know.
$100. Wow.
I tell you, Maria, I can remember my brother and I used to buy this magazine called Scry.
Oh.
And it was just called Scry. It wasn't Scryfall. It was just Scry, the
Scry.
magazine.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this magazine was kind of the way that you got, like if new cards were coming out, it was pre-internet really that we had easy access to. And in this magazine, they would print the prices of cards, and I've looked up some old versions of that, and it's like Power 9 cards for like it's like
$50.
Yeah, it is. And at that time, that money was essentially, I look at $100 as as
when
like
you're
a
9,
when you're 9, you're like
might as well be a billion.
Exactly. But if you just had invested, $1,000 or whatever in
those
that,
were the days.
it would have been you would have been set.
I love the days of those magazines and stuff. That was me and Beanie Babies back in the day, by the way.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
And also looking up like cheat codes and stuff for video games, you have to do it in a magazine. Like
Yeah.
I love that. I love that.
Anyway,
the year is 1995. I just want to set the stage
The
here.
year is 1995.
So Magic got its visual identity back, especially in the early days, as a game of high fantasy plus mysticism, witchcraft, paganism, drawing from a lot of old world religions and religious practices. They did have the 5-color pips, which Richard Garfield arranged, said he got from the book The Master of the 5 Magics.
Mm-hmm.
That's where that comes from. They're arranged in a kind of a pentagram shape on the back of the Magic card, which the pentagram stands for the 5 elements in witchcraft. So that makes sense why they used that. Inverted pentagram, however, Church of Satan kind of co-opted that as their symbol. And we see that appearing on some Magic cards, like, for example, Unholy Strength, which I'll get to in a little bit. It's, to be fair, I think nowadays it's a lot less, geared towards that sort of art and development style.
Yeah, we've got more, like little.
We have Throne of Eldraine, for example.
Or Thrones, like what?
Thrones of Eldraine.
It's another contested fact,
Sure, which we know the answer to, but contested nonetheless.
Yeah, only one person has to contest for it to become contested.
That's the age we live in. So demons were a card type, a creature type back in the day, and Richard Garfield
still now.
Yeah,
and still now, but for a while. They weren't.
Oh, that's
Richard
interesting. I didn't know that.
Garfield chose demons because he said there was a lot of equity built into demons, meaning players would know what a demon was, instant understanding of what it represented, uniformly iconic.
Yeah.
Would vary, like the idea of a demon varies little from person to person. We all basically get it.
Yeah.
And they did an excellent job of reinforcing many of the key facets of the color of black, as well as lending themselves to cool illustrations. So that's why they were there.
Makes sense.
But of course, all the stuff I mentioned about D&D really starts to kind of get intertwined with magic.
Yeah.
And as magic sort of reaches higher levels in the consciousness, as does D&D, there's a big backlash against certain parts of these fantasy elements like we talked about. There's a Tom Hanks movie that comes out. There's these stories. There's a 60 Minutes thing.
Which we are going to find and watch.
Oh, yeah. That's a guarantee.
We're going to find and watch it.
We're going to find and watch it. So eventually, demon, the creature type demon, goes away. It is taken out of magic. Magic says they did that because it seemed like, quote, a safe choice in a very unsafe time. Magic was on the cusp of becoming a highly public game. They knew what had happened to D&D when it went through that phase, unquote. And so they wanted to like basically say, hey, we're going to try and protect ourselves.
Sure, get out ahead of this
as
somehow.
our game grows. I'm going to add that in 1994, the expansion that was printed was The Dark, which I think is a very, very cool magic expansion and plays on the idea of human violence driven by fear. So a lot of these elements are in especially stark
The name
relief
The Dark is sick.
in that set.
The name The Dark is sick.
It is sick, and we got a lot of very cool artwork in that set as
makes
well, and
sense.
a lot of cool callbacks to all of that stuff that I had mentioned earlier. Unholy Strength I mentioned as being a card which a lot of parents had problems with back in the day because of that pentagram symbol. But they removed that symbol for its 4th edition printing. The 5th edition has new art and it has never returned the original art, everybody.
Whoa.
In 1995, the demon creature type is removed and horror is substituted instead to try to get out ahead of all of this.
Sure.
Because in these days, like magic now is so ubiquitous. Magic, I would argue, is culture. But back then, magic was counterculture, which we have to kind of remember. Like it was the little engine that could. And now it's a juggernaut that will.
Whether you like it or not.
Whether you like it or not.
Yep.
So demons took a backseat, and that art style that we see in The Dark and earlier is kind of abandoned as we move forward in magic. However, in the year 2002, demons returned.
Hey, all
Somehow
right.
the demons returned. Somehow Palpatine returned. And we got our first demon in many, many years in Grinning Demon, which was 2 black for a 6/6. At the beginning of your upkeep, you lose 2 life, and it had more for 2 black. So Magic then decided, it was big enough to be able to throw its weight around. It was culturally acceptable enough to be able to do this kind of stuff. Now we had the TV shows like Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Sure.
It had become very popular. And, the X-Files, everything had kind of moved this kind of culture of like demons, hell, darkness was more acceptable than it was in the 70s and 80s. And so demons were like, you know what? Come on back. You're back in 2002.
You're back.
You're back.
Demons,
back.
Demons,
You're back.
You're back.
Demons, welcome back. The year continues to be 1995.
All right, good.
All
Thank
right.
you. Thank you for that update.
You're welcome. There's this community in New York and some parents in this community who are part of a school district. The 2 parents, which I'm going to name check, are Marianne DeBerry and Dee Nazi. Sorry if that's not how you say it.
Yeah, fair enough.
And they started to become concerned. Their children were going to these before and after school groups where they would play this card game called Magic: The Gathering.
Nice.
Wow. Spooky.
Yeah, spooky.
I know. As part of something called the Magic Club.
Ooh,
Horrifying.
Yes. Now that sounds sinister.
So sinister. And they're like, wow, these kids be summoning demons up in here. Incantations, spells. This is an unholy mess, and we need to do something about it. They're like, they called the school district. They're like, what are you doing? This is demonic and horrible and
you're letting
against
it
our
happen
religion.
on your watch.
On your watch, the children are being corrupted. They held a forum at the school.
Nice. Also a place where nothing bad ever happens.
No,
Yes.
God, no. And nobody can become heated or whatever.
No.
Apparently, it got so out of control that the police were called
Oh my God.
to help as they were trying to discuss this and the allegations and accusations from these parents. They contended that Magic: The Gathering is steeped in hidden language, imagery, signs, and rites of at least 30 satanic cults in this country.
Whoa. I wonder where they got that number from.
I know, about 30 different ones too.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, the degradation, what about not degradation, delineation that must have to occur
Yeah.
between 30 different
Especially for
satanic
them
This
all to
is
be
our
hidden. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Wow, you're hiding 30 cults.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't hide one.
I mean, I think it's very difficult to design a game like Magic the Gathering, but to hide 30 cult messages in the game, that I
Difficult.
think would be more difficult than
Yeah.
designing the game itself.
They said also, moreover, it is a
moreover, another great
codification
word.
of these beliefs, practices, and perceptions of the new Satanists of today. There are inducements in Magic the Gathering to engage in destructive, cruel cult practices. Do you feel induced when you play Magic to engage in cruel cult practices?
I don't know. I do feel induced sometimes to take people's gems, you know?
The spirit
So I don't know if that's
compels me to just absolutely annihilate my
Crush
opponent.
these people.
So I don't know if that's a cruel cult practice exactly, but I guess I do
Taking these
feel
gems.
I do feel that way sometimes, yeah.
So these two women were so mad, they formed a group called Concerned Parents, Citizens and Professionals Against the Seduction of Children. Or
Yeah, they needed a little help with their branding there, I think. It just doesn't
the
roll off
anagram
tongue.
doesn't really work out.
Doesn't work out, yeah.
They took their complaint to Dr. Dennis, who was the head of the school district here.
Yeah, nice.
Who, you know, to his credit,
Dr. Dennis.
imposed a 30-day moratorium on magic in the schools until he could study it.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
All right. So yeah, okay. Well, I guess, you know, at least even-handed. Didn't ban it outright. Wanted to
He's like, all right, we'll look into this.
Let me think about it for 1 month,
yeah.
which is the amount of time it takes to study if something has the devil in it.
That
Yes,
is
that's
correct.
right. Yeah,
1 month.
exactly,
No
30
more,
days.
no
Yeah,
less.
yeah.
He consulted 3 child psychologists and conferred with the school board and determined that the game was not harmful. He lifted
Nice.
the moratorium and allowed Magic to be played under supervision and with parental consent on school grounds.
Nice.
And so he was like, okay, check it out.
yeah,
It
it's
seems
all-
fine.
it's
All
problem
above board.
solved.
Yeah. So these two parents, of course, not happy with the decision.
Oh, they
came
didn't, they
to
didn't
him.
just chill after that?
No, they did not just
They
chill
weren't like,
after
this
that.
seems reasonable
They're
and
like, all
level-headed.
right, well, we've been heard and an answer has come through and we're going to abide by that answer.
That did not occur.
Great.
They said this was not over, and soon, Dr. Dennis, you will be remembered as, quote, the superintendent who brought Satanism to our school district.
I would love to be remembered that way.
Can you imagine? What a legacy.
I'd be like, yes, thank you.
It was me.
We're all just out here trying to build a legacy, and if that's
Yeah.
like you're telling me I have one.
Yeah, that's right.
Wow.
We're going to show up in the history books, you know?
I alone brought the Dark Lord to these children.
Yeah.
Well,
Not nothing.
put
you
it
know?
on my tombstone.
Yeah.
They were also mad about a bunch of other stuff besides Magic the Gathering.
I mean, they're never mad
Yeah.
about just one thing,
Yeah.
are they?
And I
It
mean,
might not
ultimately,
shock
they
you.
were mad at, you know, the lack of self-love they had for themselves. Like, that's probably
If we're
like,
getting
the
down to the
biggest
core of it.
level
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
the levels go down that far, I think.
Yeah, I agree. They were mad about the kids examining owl pellets, which they thought was, quote, part of a death curriculum.
I loved dissecting owl pellets as
Wasn't
a kid.
it so cool?
It was so
very
cool.
cool and interesting. And what a
Man.
great way to dissect something without it having to involve, like, you know, an actual creature
Like killing a frog
Yes,
or whatever.
Exactly.
being put into formaldehyde.
Remember, you could like look to see if you could find a full skeleton, like how much of a little
It was
mouse
very-
skeleton
It was
in
very
there?
cool.
If a creature had been killed, it'd been killed out in the, you know,
Yeah.
in the circle of life, as they say, as opposed to the circle of formaldehyde or whatever. Is
Love that
Circle
song in The
that.
Lion King.
And
It's
that
the
sounds like a
circle
satanic
of formaldehyde.
Yeah, so these kids, they also mad about like kids doing yoga, making little worry dolls.
Yeah.
You know, like stuff that's just completely
Yoga,
bonkers.
Yoga.
Yeah.
Oof, yoga.
Nothing's brought me closer to the devil.
Yeah. I mean,
Then
yeah,
downward
yeah.
facing dog.
Where do you think you're looking
Yeah.
when you're
You're
downward
looking
facing
into
dog?
Satan's
You're
face.
Yeah.
looking down at hell.
There's something for the producer segment in all of that I'll save because.
All right.
Wow, okay.
Keep it under
I've
your
just gotten a hit.
demonic
for sure.
hat.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, I will.
The community, to their credit, mostly supported the school system in this. I want to say this big
Yeah.
forum they held when the police had to be called and all that.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people said a lot of deeply reasonable things. Like this community member that I got to give a shout out to saying some really great stuff. Quote, if we learned anything from Salem in 1692, from Munich in 1938, and from Washington in the early 1950s,
Oh, wow.
it is that when the witch hunt begins, it is not only morally wrong, but ultimately dangerous for good citizens to remain silent. When the witch hunt begins, we must all come together and say, nonsense, and not in this community, you don't. Love that.
Love that.
Not in this community, you don't.
Not in this community, you don't.
And apparently one little 5th grader also got up to say, quote, I play magic and I don't want to sacrifice anybody or anything.
Except for my
Except for
creatures
my
if there's an
creatures.
activated ability.
Yeah. I thought that was adorable that
That's
even the
very
kids were
cute.
standing up for magic.
That is cute.
So not to be deterred, these parents, 3 families in all.
But in fact, to be the turds.
Give me a high five on that one, Tyler. Yeah. They were being the turds big time. They made a lawsuit out of it, of course, which was Altman versus the Bedford Central School District. They took this case all the way up to the Supreme Court.
Wow.
The Supreme Court decided not to hear it.
All right,
but
well, good
they were
on
like,
them.
no.
Yeah.
they were like, get out of here with this nonsense.
Yeah.
But it did make its way all the way up there. And anyway, they had a lot of problems, of course, with like stuff this they filed as taxpayers as like in their standing, and a lot of the courts were like, get out of here. No, you do not actually have standing as taxpayers to get mad about this. They had stuff to say about like, for example, I think the courts ended up having a problem with the kids having to do like required to do worry dolls. Like where is the line between like we're just showing you this and you're being introduced to it versus you are actually engaging
compelled to
in the religious practice or whatever. Anyway, Dr. Dennis had to go on the stand, and what he said I found very funny. Quote, this is a quote from the case. The court, like Dr. Dennis, finds the game of Magic the Gathering somewhat arcane, to say the least, because he couldn't figure out how to play it,
Yeah,
you know?
sure. Like many adults at the time, and certainly
Yeah.
that was my experience with the adults in my life. There was nothing that really struck fear into their hearts more than me asking if they wanted to sit down and play one of these collectible card games with me, because I tell you, they could not have felt less in their element than when that happened. I feel like once or twice maybe my parents did humor me, but it was like they were just like, I don't know. You know, it was one of those people, they'd sat down and they knew for sure that they couldn't play it, and therefore, inevitably, they were unable to.
Yeah. It's, it's not an easy game.
It's not an easy game. That is true. That is fair.
The court's opinion about Magic specifically found that the game is played with a large number of cards containing unrealistic fantasy representations, which are obviously fictitious and imaginary, but it is neither overtly nor implicitly religious. The game itself is not religious in nature. The plaintiff's argument that the defendants, by allowing this extracurricular activity, are advancing or promoting Satanism as religion or the cult also fails.
Wow.
Participation is voluntary and permitted only with written parental consent and also not during school hours. The court finds that the school district neither asserted coercive pressure for students to participate in the game, nor did it infringe on the plaintiff's right to the free exercise of their own individual religion.
All right.
So
They said it.
basically mostly failed in this court case. And that was that. And that court case happened in 1996. So as we know, demons returned to the game, as I said, in 2002.
Yeah.
And this kind of moral panic sort of dwindled. However, I will say that just the other day, I was browsing Reddit, as one does, and found that there was a screenshot of somebody who wanted to have a magic club meeting at a local library being met with resistance from community members.
Wow.
Man, that's crazy.
So, it still is happening today, folks.
Interesting.
And with moral panics, we just gotta quash it into the ground when it happens. Because
What did they say? Not in my community, you don't.
that's right.
That's what you
That's
gotta
right.
say.
Not in
Yeah.
my community. You don't get out of here with this hot nonsense. You know what I mean? Which is what it all is ultimately.
Which is part of what I wanted to talk about.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
you can look at this case and you're like, oh, right, nothing really happened.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
But one of the most one of the biggest Satanic Panic cases happened in Texas in the early 1990s. It was the Oak Hill Satanic Ritual Abuse Trial. It was this couple, Fran and Dan Keller, who ran a daycare. And there was a therapist who was treating a child who went to this daycare for behavioral problems that were related to other stuff. But they were like, oh, actually, right. It was the same thing where they ended up interviewing these kids, like this therapist, like parents, people who had no background and no business interviewing kids were essentially like giving these kids ideas of what they should say happened to them.
Do these people make you feel bad sometimes?
Yeah, but yes, essentially, right? They're essentially coaching them. And then these kids ended up making tons of crazy allegations, right? Including stuff like a lot of it was about sexual abuse, but then there were other things that it's like, oh, they made us drink blood-laced Kool-Aid.
Not just straight up blood. It was blood-laced.
Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
That's
Yes,
nice,
absolutely.
though. That's nice. Take the edge off.
They dismembered like an adult with a chainsaw, right? Like again, like multiple, we like witnessed many murders, and you're like, where are the people that were murdered?
Where are those
people? They like
people?
flew them to Mexico and back in time for them to be picked up.
That's a short trip.
Like normal.
Yeah.
Short trip.
I mean, it definitely would require a private jet at the very least.
Yes, right. Like absolutely absurd claims.
Yeah.
And there was even on the first day of the trial, this trial only lasted 6 days of the Kellers. On the first day, one of the kids was like, none of this happened, and I was coached to say this.
Yes.
But still there like all of the other kids, right, like said that all of this stuff had happened. And this doctor, there was one doctor who was like, oh yes, one of these kids has physical signs of abuse.
Okay.
And then years later, he was like, my bad, misread that one. He was like, actually, that wasn't true.
Holy
and
cow.
I was wrong.
Holy cow.
And the Kellers were sentenced to 48 years in prison each.
Woof.
What?
Yeah.
Yes.
Were they like, hold up, did you guys actually fly to Mexico? Like, that seems easily disprovable.
That's what I'm saying, right? Like, so many of these claims were absurd.
Yeah.
Right? Were completely absurd. And they were based entirely, right? Like, these convictions were based entirely on the testimony of kids who were influenced by like the therapists, the parents, and the law officers who talked to them and got them to say this stuff.
Oh my gosh.
It is so reminiscent of the Salem witch trials as well, like with so many children being involved in that case, and life at that time being so incredibly difficult for the people who were living out there. Like, if you read about what life was actually like, you know, it was fairly horrific for people having to survive the winter and everything in Salem, and like being, I think, the religious trauma, being bored out of your mind, the you know, sexual repression of women and just repression of women generally in society and all of that. Of course, like, it just lends itself to something like this being born out of it.
Yeah. And so, right, like since then, there's like, right, like years later, people were like, we have to relook at this. Yeah. Because there's like this retracted confession that someone gave. There was the fact that there was literally no physical evidence. There were these flawed medical exams by this guy who was like, my bad later on.
Yeah.
And then like simply like the understanding now that kids are just suggestible. Yeah. Right? Like kids are just so suggestible. And so in 2013, they finally overturned their convictions. But they were
in prison that long.
They spent 21 years in jail.
Unbelievable.
Right? And so that's what I'm saying is like this to me was always like the story of the Satanic Panic was not just that it was, it's not just like parents not allowing kids to play stuff. Yeah. It literally had an impact on people's lives. Yeah. It had real consequences. They spent 21 years in jail. And in 2017, they got $3.4 million in compensation.
I would imagine.
Doesn't make up
not even
for
close.
21 years.
Not even close. Yeah, you can't pay someone for 21 years of their life.
Gone.
Yeah. Oof.
And so it's just one of those things where it's like, oh yeah, think about the real world consequences on people's lives of this. Again, like I grew up like this, knowing the story of the Kellers.
Yeah, it was somewhat local too.
Exactly, it was local to me, and just like how terrible.
Yeah, yeah.
How absolutely absurd. Oof. And how upsetting that people are so willing to see what they want to see in what we consider to be like a quote unquote like fair courtroom.
Yes. Yes.
Oh boy.
A jury of your peers, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I feel like we've got, you know, the cauldron is brewing and bubbling at this point in history here in 2025
Yeah.
for more moral panics
Yeah.
to erupt or erupt
Yes.
further than they
Yes.
already are. And I
Yes.
just feel like,
Yeah.
like that person said, not in
Not
our
in my
community.
community.
You don't.
Not in my community, you don't. There it is. Well, my hellish fiends, it's time to thank our sponsors. Get your little devil claws out and sharpen them.
Or
And then
big devil
them,
claws.
use them to click,
Use
clack,
them to
clack.
click, clack on your keyboard.
Yeah, be careful with your keyboard because you could easily destroy some of the keys,
Yes.
like with those
Yes,
big
watch
or
out.
small devil
Click,
claws.
clack on over to cardkingdom.com/GLHF to buy yourself some devil singles. What's your favorite devil in Magic? Goblin, perhaps demon? Get yourself a single of
Wait,
that
Maria,
card.
there's actually card type devil in Magic also.
That's true too.
That's accurate. Yeah,
That's true.
Get all of your spooky friends over together and make a spooky deck for
Yep.
spooky season.
What's the one I'm thinking of?
cardkingdom.com/GLHF. The other day, Megan texted me, "Who is that streamer I'm thinking of?"
The best part was is that I was like, Maria's gonna text me who it is.
And did I?
You did.
Oh,
Of course you did. It was
Hey,
it
that's
was
pretty
great,
good.
and I was like, again, it just felt incredible because I knew as I was texting it, I was like, Maria's gonna know what I mean.
She's got
And I just
you.
happened to have my phone in my hand at that moment, and I think I responded like instantly.
Yes.
Wow.
And I was like, yep,
That's it.
beautiful.
who it was.
That's it.
Hellrider is the demon I'm thinking of, is the
Oh,
devil I'm
yes,
thinking
yes,
of.
yes, yes,
2
yes.
red,
Oh.
haste, 3/3. Whenever a creature you control attacks, Hellrider deals 1 damage to the player or planeswalker it's attacking.
A good card if you
It's
want to
a-
be
yeah.
on the arena cube when that card is
That-
involved. The mono red deck with that
Oh,
card.
I was gonna say this
Quite good.
boy.
for aggro,
Yes.
like just get them dead.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Very true.
Go get your own Hellrider.
Yeah.
Cardkingdom.com/GLHF.
And you can make a custom sleeve with a Hellrider on it, probably,
Yeah.
right?
I don't know if you can. I don't
Okay,
know if
just
it's
kidding.
copyrighted
Take that
art.
out. It's probably copyrighted art. I thought that as I was saying it. So.
But I don't know if they'll stop you, but
Yeah.
whatever.
You
But-
can pre-order Avatar: The Last Airbender
Yes,
over at
you
Card
can.
Kingdom already.
Yeah.
Ooh, Megan, I've watched 4 episodes now.
Hey,
Maria!
hey, nice.
What are you on, Tyler?
I'm still on 2, so I need to
Oh,
get caught
okay.
up to you. So now.
How are you feeling so far?
Leapfrogged.
It's very cute. It's great.
Yeah, it's great. Oh, it gets so good.
All right.
I'm
Maria,
excited to
it's so
see where
good.
this journey takes us.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, indeed. Thank you as well to Dragon Shield for their sponsorship of our show. You can get some of their
Accoutrement.
accoutrement. And,
Wow.
the link in the show notes are underneath this video.
Yeah.
Great use of accoutrement.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Love the
The
word.
vocabulary lesson alone that this episode will provide you is worth
Yes.
the cost of
Worth
admission.
And I will
Patreon
say,
subscription in and
you
of
can-
itself.
That's what I say.
You can see for sure that they are devil aligned.
They are.
They're devil
Dragon Shield.
forward. They're
devil forward.
devil positive.
They're devil positive.
They're dragon positive more than anything
Sure,
else.
of course,
Dragon
yes.
Shield. I will say Dragon Shield are the most dragon positive sleeves out there.
That's
I
so
think that's
true.
fair
So
and accurate.
true.
Yeah.
Yes. So if you also like Dragon Shield.
Yeah.
Go dragon yourself. Use code GLHF at checkout for 5% off your sloopy order.
Wow. I don't want it to be sloopy.
Yeah.
Sloopy order.
Well,
Or you can search GLHF for our GLHF themed sleeves,
yeah.
which are very cute and not very hell aligned. But
That's true.
for now,
That's
But
true.
but because we are in spirit,
Yeah,
they are in
too.
spirit.
yes,
Yep,
we
yep,
reserve
yeah.
the right to make some spooky sleeves in the future. I'll
Yeah,
put that
we
out
do.
there.
All right,
And maybe we
great.
should do that for next year because
Yeah.
I think that would be delightful.
Yeah.
Go check them out. Dragon Shield.
We're gonna make sleeves that say God has no wife.
Yeah, Megan, I tell you, I was thinking the
That's the sleeve
same
we're
thing.
gonna have.
What deck do those sleeves go on?
Any.
Any at all?
Any.
What if it's like the prismatic bridge deck because there's so many like gods, like the
Yes.
Theros gods in that deck? You know what I mean?
Sure,
I don't
yeah,
know.
sure.
Sure.
Maybe there's something in
I'm
there.
into it.
Perhaps, yeah.
God has no wife. One of my favorite things I've ever heard.
One of those truths that seems shocking, but is somehow true.
Yeah.
That's this episode of Good Luck High Five. Thank you so much to all of our goblins, demons, fiends, and various other demonic souls who have joined us here on episode 666. It's
Wow.
been a real trip, and it's been, the studio's been warm. We've had the flames of hell going behind us this
Yeah,
entire
Yeah.
time.
really nice.
Kind of gives
Roasting, yeah.
gives the place a nice vibe.
Yeah.
Cozy hell vibes, if you will.
Yeah.
Yep. If you will. If you will.
Love that.
And we've had a fabulous time recounting the Satanic Panic and how magic was involved in that on this episode. So thank you for hanging out with us for this very special episode of Good Luck High Five. We hope you have a great Halloween, by the way.
Yes.
My favorite holiday.
Ooh, nice.
So excited for it.
Yeah.
Please send us pictures of all of your costumes in the Discord patrons.
yeah.
Tyler, more like tie her up. And by her, I mean this episode with a bow because it's the end.
Yeah.
We got there.
Tyler, more like tie her up with a bow on top.
We
Because
got
you're
there.
a gift.
We got there, fam.
Managed to make it not
Beautiful.
as problematic as it was in my head originally.
Sure, yeah. And and you did.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Patreon.com/GLHF Magic. Thanks again to Card Kingdom and Dragon Shield for being awesome as always. We'd love to give you a shout out if you become a new patron before our next episode. We've got coming up on the 7th of November is going to be the release of our next episode of Commander Arcade, which is going to feature Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yeah, very fun game and very fun cards.
I like it so much.
It's really cute, everyone. Go check it out.
It's a fun game.
You can like and subscribe. Hype, like Megan has a hype button. I don't. Neither does Tyler, but somehow she has it.
Yeah.
Over at youtube.com/GLHF Commander.
Because I don't get on YouTube very much and they're trying to incentivize me.
Ooh, is that
could
your
be
that's
it.
my theory.
Playing hard to get, as usual, gets you what you want, you know?
Wow. You heard it here first, folks. Everyone, go enjoy the reason for the season. And
By which we mean the devil.
the devil. Bake your feet over a nice hot fire and play some Magic the
Do
Gathering.
some downward dog and remember where you're looking.